Hi guys, Ann here, and today we have another coffee talk. It is very, very late. It is 11:40 p.m. at night. It's almost 12 a.m. I just got done filming my ice cream beauty box and ice cream beauty bag for my beauty channel, Just Ann. I always leave in my description box, but I'll pin a comment in case you're interested in that. So the reason why I am filming this vlog and where I've been, I haven't put a video up in a couple weeks. I know not everybody gets my community posts. Like you don't get notified or anything like that, so you may not know. I have been telling you guys that my daughter was moving in with her father to help him out. Unfortunately, last Saturday, May 17th, Chuck passed away from his illness. He was type 1 diabetic. So he passed away from diabetes. Yeah. So Chuck, I thought he was 51, going to be 52, but he was born in 74. So Chuck was just 50 years old. He wouldn't be 51 until August 18th. And me and Lexi always joke because my father's birthday, my father passed away, sorry, I'm getting comfortable. My father passed away when I was 6 years old, and he was 33 years old. And his birthday was August 18th. And Lexi's father, Chuck's birthday is August 18th. So me and Lexi are mother and daughter, and our fathers, both of our fathers' birthdays August 18th. And I've known Chucky since I was 14 years old, in the 9th grade. We went to two different schools, high schools. He lived in the next town over, and around Thanksgiving, my high school that I went to, it was called a Coke Classic. I don't know why. I don't know why it was called a Coke Classic, like Coca-Cola, the soda. And it would be a big basketball game, and we had it this year. That year was so it was in 1994. That year was at my high school, and he came there because that was a big thing. And I remember he was trying to talk to me then, and he just wasn't my type. I wasn't into him, but he was so funny. And this is when we had beepers, and he was like, what's your beeper? And I also had, they used to call it teenage phone lines, where I had my own phone line. It's funny, where my daughter's room is now used to be my bedroom. And, so I gave him my phone number and stuff. And I remember he used to call me all the time. And I just wasn't into him, but he was so funny. But we were, like, so different. His father was an assistant pastor of a church, so he was a preacher boy, so, but he was bad. He was really bad then, and fighting, and, he was in boxing, and later became a Golden Glove, and different things in Atlantic City. I remember one time, I was like, let me let you go. I was like, I'm getting ready to eat, and he called me back in like 15 or 20 minutes. He's like, are you done yet? I'm like, can I put the fork in my mouth? And I used to, joke with him. But a lot of girls used to like Chucky because he was funny. He was so funny. He could have been a comedian. And he was like the class clown, but he can dance. But he also was a fighter, and he was a protector. And then, so we never dated or anything, but, he would have girlfriends, I would have boyfriends, and we just talked as friends, but I knew he liked me, And then I met Tyler's father and was in a relationship and, didn't talk to him anymore. And then me and Tyler's father broke up when Tyler was 3. And I remember a couple weeks later, I don't know how long, a couple months, I don't remember. But I took my grandma to the mall. I was buying her a pair of sneakers, and Chuck was there. And Chuck was the type of person, he liked to dress head to toe, sneakers, like everything had to be name brand and all of that. And then he was asking me how I am. Was I still with Tyler's father? I was like, no, he wasn't with his girl anymore. So he asked me out on a date. And we went out like the following weekend or something like that. And then he grew on me, And then I told you guys before, you know, he was a big time drug dealer and fighting. And I've shared a story before where somebody came in. We were at a hotel room and somebody came in to buy drugs, and they owed Chuck money, but the guy came in with $100 bill because he wanted to buy something from Chuck. And Chuck was like, well, where's my money you owe me? And the guy was like, this isn't my money though. And I remember one hit, I'll never forget this. Chuck punched him, split his lip from here to here. The guy had glasses on, knocked him out cold. Lip split. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta clean up this blood. And the guy woke up, or Chuck took the money and was like, now leave, go get, you know, don't be coming here owing me money. I mean, Chuck was like that. I'm sharing this story to let you know how he was, because he changed, you know. And it was funny. And then, like, when I would go to his house every Wednesday, if I came over there, I had to go to Bible study and all of that, you know. I've shared stories before. He was the one I was talking about when this person, this is before I did any drugs. I used to drink, but, you know, I didn't do drugs or anything at that time. I never tried anything like what I used to do, you know, the harder stuff. And he sold to an undercover. It was a fiend, you know, but sold to them. Her name was Ice. And how funny is that? How ironic. And her nickname. And anyway, we get caught. I was driving and stuff, and he took the whole rap. You know, he would not let me, like, that's just how he was. He was a protector. He would have just took the whole rap. He would have never let me go down. You know, even if when we separated when Lexi was 11 months old, and I could have called him at any time if somebody was messing with me. Chucky has a very big family, extremely big family, and he's well known. Even now, well known. I mean, there's going to be at least a couple hundred people. I know for a fact that's going to be at the funeral. Chuck had diabetes at the age of 14. It was way worse than mine. I was at 18. And I don't know if we would have stayed together or what, but, you know, I told you before we had lost a child, and you know, some people grieve different ways. He wanted to go out partying, drinking, what have you, and I wanted to stay home. You know, I had Lexi, and, you know. But, you know, as time went on, Chucky got sicker and sicker, and he was the one that put the 13 staples in the back of my head. I've shared that before. And I'm only bringing this up because I want to talk about when I say letting go and forgiveness. And for so many years, and other things he did, which I won't get into now. This isn't the video. And so I didn't talk to him for many years. I always, anytime he wanted to see Lexi, he got a hold of my mom. And then as time went on, like 5 years later or whatever, I was able to, he would be like, can you bring, you know, he had a nickname for Lexi, over, what have you. And I would bring her over and everything, you know. I never stopped him from being a father. I never believed in that because you break up, or if you have a girlfriend and I don't want the girlfriend around my kid. I was never like that, you know. As long as she treated my daughter right, I didn't care. Chuck never went to jail for what he did to me. He got away with it, like a slap on his wrist. And then he got into another relationship and broke a girl's nose, and he got sentenced to a year in jail. And he was about 5 months in. He did 9 months, I think, altogether. And he was telling them he was seeing spots. And anybody that's diabetic, you know, once you start seeing those spots, you need to go to an eye doctor right away. Because when you're diabetic, any damage is done, it cannot be fixed. And he had to wait till he got out. There was eye doctors there, but, you know, they don't really care about your health and stuff in jail. Let's be real. And when he got out, it was too late. So they had to take the one eye out to try to save the other one. He had a fake eye, and the other one, he lost his vision. So he was in his, I just don't remember. I don't think he was quite 30 years old yet, but in his later 20s when he went blind. And for so many years, I used to say, oh, you got your karma, now you can never hit another female. For many years, I just didn't like, I was just so angry with him, you know, for what he did to me. And that was the first time and last time he ever hit me. That was the first time ever. But he could have killed me. And I'm not going to get into what exactly happened, but I could have literally died if I didn't call my mother and she came and called the ambulance. It was bad. You know, when Lexi had her open heart and lung surgery, he was there, and he said hi, and I would say hi, but I would never hold conversations with him or anything like that. Now, let me go back. You know, his sugar was getting so bad, and he would have so many sugar attacks and literally foam from the mouth and, like, almost died a few times, literally, that he did get a pancreas and both his kidney transplant. And he was doing good because then he wasn't diabetic any longer. He was still blind, of course. And then it came back a few years ago. And it came back really bad. But this year, 2025, is when it was really acting up. And do you guys remember a couple months ago, I told you they went there and they found Chucky unresponsive. And he was in a coma. And the fourth day he woke up, and I didn't think he was going to wake up. Most of the time, when you're diabetic like that, you don't wake up. Once your sugar drops that low and you go into a coma, your organs start shutting down and stuff. And he did. So Lexi was going to move in with him to help him. He, you know, could take a shower by himself or a bath, of course. He knew how to go to the living room by himself. He was, you know, he had a cane. He would walk with a cane, you know, a blind stick. I don't know what it's called. And he knew how to, like, if he knew there was a plate in there, he knew how to heat it up or what have you. So he just needed somebody. He had a roommate and his girlfriend there, the roommate's girlfriend, but they moved out and got their own place. So he needed somebody there to make sure he had food and ate and stuff, you know. So remember, Lexi was moving her stuff in, and that weekend that he passed, Lexi was getting ready to bring. She had most of her stuff there except for her bed and different things like that, and Lexi was going to bring that over. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, guys. I've cried so much this week. I can't even cry anymore. I don't even think there's any more tears, but I'm just all over the place. Friday night, Lexi had to work, you know, she works overnights 11 to 7, and she came back here Saturday to get a couple hours of sleep. Well, early in that morning, she got a call from her little brother saying, you know, Dad won't pick up the phone. Have you heard from him? So Lexi gets up and goes there, and that's when she found him. At 7 a.m., his meter read that his sugar was at 20. And it doesn't go below then, so his sugar had to be under 20 at the time. You know, I'll never forget that phone call, my daughter. I was the first one she called before she called anybody. And I'll never forget the screaming that I heard from my child. You know, I'm dealing with my daughter who's very devastated that her father passed away, and she has guilt saying, Mommy, if I was there, I said, Lexi, there's nothing you could have done. You could have gave him medicine for his sugar to go up, but he kept having, that week, he kept having sugar attack after sugar attack after sugar attack. I said, yeah, then maybe the next day when you were at work and it happened at 1 a.m. There's nothing you could have done. But I understand that guilt because I have guilt with my mom, you know. When my mother passed away on Thanksgiving, I left to go put the turkey in the oven at my house because remember, my mom just moved in here because of the house fire. She wasn't even in here 30 days, so she didn't have all the pots and pans, and I figured it would just be easier if I made the turkey and different things over my house and then just brought everything over. And I thought, what if I was there, you know, or what if I didn't leave? But it was going to, you know, I get it, but I'm still in shock. Okay, so let me get back. So when he went into a coma and got out, I talked to Chuck. And we finally had a heart-to-heart, and he just apologized to me. And, you know, he always told me I was a good mom. And he would say, I thank you. I thank you so much. Chuck had a lot of guilt for why he went blind, you know, and said if I didn't do what I did, I wouldn't have been in jail and this wouldn't have happened or what have you. And I remember that week too, when Lexi was moving in, about a week before Chuck passed, Tyler got on the phone and was talking to Chuck, and they were reminiscing when Tyler was younger and when they would play basketball together, and Tyler was going to go over there and see him. And he also just wanted to see like where she would be staying at in the room and the living situation. But he never got a chance to go over there. And that's why I say life is so short. Tomorrow is never promised. And we procrastinate and wait, and we just never know. And my heart is broken, but I'm so devastated for my daughter. You know, when I lost my mother, I don't know what it's like to lose a father, but when I lost my mother and my grandmother and, you know, different things, it's a different hurt than how I feel with Chucky. But the heart of my daughter is that pain, her hurting. And you know, I've known him since I was 14, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have Lexi. And he was a good father to Lexi. Even though we had our ups and downs, and I was so mad and hurt, and I wasted all of these years being so angry at him. I mean, we would still talk and, you know, but you know what I mean. For what? He was always in Lexi's life. He was always there for her, and I thank him so much. And because of him, Lexi didn't turn out like me. I didn't have a father. You know, my father passed away, and so I didn't know what it's like to have that father's love. And so I went to the first guy that said, I love you, or really paid attention to me, which was Tyler's father. Which was not good. I should have stayed my ass in school and not worried about having a relationship. And I wanted that family. Because, you know, my mother had issues, you know. And I wanted to have that family and that white picket fence. And because he was in her life, Lexi's about school and working and not, I mean, yes, of course, Lexi has a boyfriend, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? She doesn't depend on a guy or that father's or that love from a man, because she had that through her father, that protection. This is a hard one for me, you know? I just look back at all that time I stayed mad and hurt. But the greatest gift is when I talked to him, when he came out of the coma, and we just talked, and, you know, and I forgave him. I said to him, because he needed to hear me say, I forgive you. Like when I told you when I talked to my family and I needed that closure, that I'm sorry, he needed to hear that. I mean, this man is blind, and when I told him about Lexi with her open heart and lung surgery, and he got a ride so quick. Lexi wasn't even out of surgery before he got there. I remember when he first went blind, and his friend used to cut hair, and he would go to the barber shop and stayed there from morning to closing, and he would sell the DVDs. This was the DVDs with the movies. Do you remember back in the day, in the early 2000s and stuff, when you would get what you can like tape record the new movie releases at the theater and then make them as a DVD, so you didn't actually have to pay and go to a theater, and he would sell them for like $5 or whatever he would sell them for, I don't remember. And he would stay all day just to make money. He was always a hustler, you know. Chuck, as he got older, he got back into church. He didn't cuss. He turned into a really good man. I didn't want to cry on here. I cried so much this week. I don't even know if there's I didn't even know I had any more tears to go. Thursday will be the day that's going to be hard for me, when I actually see him. So I've been really busy. Lexi wanted his furniture, you know, so she had some of her father's house. So we cleared her room and gave her bed, because I just bought Lexi that bed about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. So she gave it to her friend. Miura. Miura has a little girl that I told you that, it's Lexi's goddaughter, and gave it to her and different things. And then we cleared it out, and then I helped paint Lexi's room because it used to be like a pink color. Now the color is Dove, Dove. It's supposed to be like a grayish beige or beigeish gray or something like that, but we had to do 3 coats, and I got the paint with the primer in it, but because the pink kind of showed, so it looks like a beigey gray with a little pink to it. It's like a custom color. It's very pretty. I'll show you the pictures. And we got the dad's furniture. So Lexi had a full-size bed, and now this is queen size with 5 pieces. So her room looks a little cramped up, but we got everything to fit. And I'm happy Lexi got something of hers. And then we rented a U-Haul. And was Tyler. He took off of work, and so Lexi's boyfriend and Tyler got the big stuff and got a lot of stuff because we had to clear Chuck's house out because he rented. So we had to get everything out by the end of this month. So we did that. I've been talking for a long time about letting go. Letting go of toxicity, letting go of negativity, but also letting go to be able to forgive and move on. So letting go is not always a bad thing, right? I know for me, sometimes when I really care about somebody, now, if I don't know you or you do something to make me mad, or even if I know you make me mad, I can get over it. But if you hurt me, it's hard for me to get over if I care about you. And just because you forgive doesn't mean you have to have these people in your life, because I had to do some forgiving on certain people, just so I can move on. And this is a perfect example. We are not promised tomorrow. And I know I need to get my shit right with me being diabetic and heart issues and different things, because I need to be here for my children. That scream that my daughter had, I can't imagine when something happens to me. And I need to do better. That's why I don't get into drama. If somebody makes a video on me, I really don't say anything. I don't make dedicated videos. If people tag me because of their friends or what have you, or whatever the case may be, I don't even reply. Even if something's not about me, I don't go into live streams that has drama related. This year I told you it's all about change, learning and changing. And I mean that. And I see people are still on the same thing, upset of something that happened that didn't even concern them, that maybe happened to their friend, or something that happened 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it's like, I used to be that girl. I used to be in that headspace and couldn't get over things if I didn't get an apology or whatever. And I'm not talking about anybody in specific, even family. But I learned sometimes you don't always get what you want. And so if I held my breath waiting for apologies a lot of times, I wouldn't be here. So I have to let go and forgive and move on. And when you do that, I tell you, I know for me, it's like a weight lifted. It's easier for me to move on once I let go or have that closure, Like some people, they could just be and move on. That's not me. And I don't think that will ever be me. But I am learning to get that closure is to let go and move on. You know what I mean? I'm learning that certain people, I don't need them in my life, even family. And that's why I try to talk to you guys about it, because if I'm going through it, I know sometimes you guys have to be going through it or have family issues or what have you. Like with my divorce, I was very angry with my ex-husband. Very angry. But I had to move on, forgive and let go. Forgive that I found out we were divorced through a text message. I had to let all that go, because what was that doing? Me talking about him all the time, and once in a while I still might bring him up because he was in my life for 13 years. But what did it do? Right? It didn't make me feel better. So I had to let go. I don't need to talk to him. I don't need to be friends with him. But I have my closure and know that he just wasn't the right one for me. And that is when I think God put Ryan in my life. I have so many positive people in my life now, friendships, and like with Ryan, and me and my family are getting back together, and it's amazing what closure can do and letting go can do. People hold on, I'm one of them, hold on to things for the dumbest things. And I look at it now, especially when Chucky passed away, like, for what? I told you before, a couple years ago, I was like, I don't know, obsessed or something, like with online, like with YouTube, and I was hurting, and I was in a negative headspace, so I was in watching drama stuff and people tearing people down, and it was like reality TV to me, as long as it didn't have to do with me. But this past week, I haven't even really been online or watched anything. I would come on, make my little community posts like happy Saturday, happy Sunday, or what have you. And I'll tell you what, the amount of peace that it's been. Because you turn your phone on and it's the same people still tagging, the same people still bringing up the same thing, still being so negative. And happy people, people that have joy, don't act like that. They don't care about YouTube stuff and YouTube drama. Like I tell people, you could do bad all by yourself. Even for me, if I lost all my friends today, I'm okay. I ain't going to go to the enemy or whatever to have friends. I'm okay. You know who my friend is? Here in my Bible, and that's all that I need, because I could bring my own self down. Do you know what I mean? It's just sad what I say, and I really hate that for them. I feel bad. I feel sorry, and I used to be one of those people. Does that make sense? I'm embarrassed. Like, I don't know if that's the right word. I watch people, and I said this to one of my friends. I'm like, I would say on my channel last year and the year before, I'm not bringing any more drama into here. I'm not going to say anything. Somebody would make a video or what have you, and I knew they were watching, so then I would say something in my video and it was like, you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but it was bringing drama again. And some of you guys would be like, I thought you said you weren't bringing drama anymore. You keep bringing up drama. We're here for you. And I didn't get it. And now I see a couple people doing this. They will say, I'm not going to bring drama on my channel anymore. And then a couple of days later, they bring drama back on their stuff. And it's like, and it's the same thing. Different day, different thing. You know what I mean? But the same thing. And it's like, I understand now what you guys were telling me. Because I'm on the outside looking in. And I cannot believe I was that way before. I was in such a dark space. I don't know I don't know. But I know going to therapy has helped me so much. It's opened my eyes. What is important to me and what is not. And I want to take this time to apologize to anybody that I've ever hurt. And I mean that. Even you guys, if you left comments and I, was defensive back or hurt your feelings, I really am so sorry. And I mean that. I'm so sorry for the negativity, the headspace I've been in not lately, but even I'm talking about last year, earlier this year. I'm so sorry. And I will do better. I'm getting better. I do know after this funeral and stuff, and next month I'm going to talk to my daughter about going to therapy. I wish I would have did that 5 years ago when my mother died, my grandmother died, and all of that. I wish I would have. Because I've been in therapy for less than 6 months, and I have done like a 180. Not a 360 yet, but over a 180. In just a matter of months. Imagine if I had years ahead of me now. And I want to thank all of you that have sent me condolences. Even people I never thought would. Thank you. And I mean that. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of my daughter. That meant a lot to me. I'm going to get off of here. I will keep you guys updated. Don't forget, check out my community posts. Even if you don't get notified, once in a while, check it out. I try to post at least something every day. Check out my beauty channel. Please thumbs up the video or thumbs it down. Make sure you leave a comment. Commenting really helps out with engagement, even if it's just an emoji. It would mean the absolute world to me. Stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay healthy. And most importantly, always stay you. Never let somebody take you out of your character. Do as I say, not as I do. Bye.